for joining us. We're just giving everyone a few more minutes before we kick things off. Then I'm going to give an introduction to Dana, who's from the Institute. She'll be presenting for around 40-45 minutes, and then we'll take a Q&A. So everything should be wrapped up by about 7 p.m. in terms of timing. In the interim, if anyone has any questions or any thoughts, feel free to take a note, and you can write them down in the chat. In the event that you might forget them, but we'll be handling any Q&A at the end of the session specifically. So we'll be starting in about 1 minute. And just for background, in terms of who's attending the meeting from the Society Emirates today, CFA Society Emirates, I'm Nasha Afshar, I'm the Careers Chair. We also have Blessy, who works full-time with the Society and helps us out with a number of things. And we've also got the President on the call, which is Ziad Zain. So if you have any ideas or anything you want to bring up in general, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we're happy to voice any of your queries or concerns as well. Now, it's now 6:02, so I think it's best that we begin. So it's my sincere pleasure to introduce Dana Anton, and she currently is a product manager at the CFA Institute. She's leading the development of the Career Center platform. She oversees the management of the job board while also working with product managers across the organization to promote the suite of career resources that are available to members. Dana also works with local member societies to share jobs to provide members with a single place to start their job search. And in terms of education, Dana earned her business degrees from American National University and the University of Phoenix. So I'm going to pass it on to her, and she's going to share her presentation on the screen, and then we're going to kick things off. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nasha. I appreciate the kind introduction, and welcome everyone. I'm excited to be here with you today. Thank you for joining the webinar to learn more about the suite of career resources that we have available for you. I'm going to go ahead and get started sharing my screen. Okay. Today we'll cover several topics, and we'll start with career management, tips and insights, and then we'll also review some key functions within the Career Center, which is our job board platform. And then we're going to move along to introduce our newest platform, which is Career Tools, and talk about some of those key features that are available for you and how the job board platform integrates with that new Career Tools. And then we're also going to highlight the full suite of career resources that are available to you. As we navigate the complexities of career management, it's important to focus on the ingredients for a successful career. It's important to have those technical skills. Those of you who have completed the CFA program understand how it can prepare you well for the technical skills you'll need across your career. As an investment professional, those strong technical skills are very important, and keeping those up to date over time isn't the only skill that you'll need. Employers are starting to increasingly recognize the value of the CFA charter and the difficulty of earning it. And it can be a signal of your commitment to upholding the highest ethical standards and your ability to work in any market. So putting that all together is a great package. However, to differentiate yourself in this very competitive market, you'll also need to master your soft skills and apply some techniques to intentionally and actively manage your career. It's important to invest in yourself to a similar degree of care and attention that you put into managing or supporting the management of a client's portfolio. So I mentioned soft skills. So what are they and why should you care about them? You can think about them as three broad categories. Your interpersonal skills, getting along with and/or leading, managing others. Your self-management skills, like your self-confidence, stress management, and personal credibility. And more generalized business skills. Think about your planning and organizing, creativity, and your analytical and problem-solving skills. How you'll put these soft skills into practice will vary across your career, depending on the role and the stage that you're in, and it's important to keep them up to date, just like your technical skills. So now that we've talked about the two of the key ingredients for a successful career, let's focus on how you can bring it all together. And that's with the principles of effectively managing your career across all of its stages. So you can continue to reuse this as you move throughout your career. The key thing to focus on is that you are in charge of your career. And I'm sure this isn't the first time that you've heard this, but it's always great to have as a reminder. All of this is an iterative process. Your career, no matter what stage it's in, it's like your life, it's your journey, it's not a destination. Maybe you're thinking about the evolution of your current role or the next stage of your career and how to get there. Or you might be considering a career change. COVID has made a lot of us think about career changes. All of these experiences are part of career exploration and learning what's going to make you feel the most satisfied in a given role and across the life cycle of your career. The important thing to remember is that managing your career across all stages can be an intentional process if you put into practice these guiding principles. Defining and managing your career is your responsibility. You should choose a profession that motivates you and is likely to become your passion over time. Choose a job, role, or function that leverages your natural strengths. Try to find a manager whose values and management style suit you and they can also serve as your mentor. Although sometimes you also need to seek a mentor outside of that relationship. Look for an employer whose corporate culture is compatible with your values. So how do you go about this career exploration process? There are two key things that we'll focus on. You need to develop and continue to cultivate a deep level of self-awareness, as well as a good understanding of what type of organizational culture or environment will be a good fit for you. The self-awareness process is an iterative one. It applies to figuring out and reevaluating what you want to be when you grow up, deciding whether to take one particular job offer over another, and understanding what career path options you might have and more. Through this process, you'll learn what motivates and inspires you, what your natural strengths and tendencies are, how you might improve or play to those natural strengths. We offer a set of activities in our Career Success book and through our Career Tools offering that will help you go through this in a methodical process. I recommend trying lots of the exercises. Each activity has a slightly different focus and it will reveal a facet or dimension of you. Through the environmental awareness process, you'll learn what types of organizational structures and cultures bring out the very best in you. As you reflect on your experiences, think about things that you really enjoyed, as well as things that you did not enjoy. Were there particular ways your supervisor or colleagues interacted with you that worked well? Are there ones that worked not so well? Reflecting on these types of experiences and gaining an understanding of your preferences will help you decide the types of organizations you may want to work for. I'd now like to transition our focus to more about the tools that are available to help you along your career management journey. And the first is the Career Center. The Career Center is a platform for you to connect with jobs, learn more about available roles in the industry, and to advance in your career. You can see this is a screen capture of the global CFA Institute Career Center. With this platform, we work to collaborate with societies around the globe to encourage employers to post their relevant job opportunities for our highly qualified talent pool. Through this collaboration, these jobs are shared on your local society website so that you know that you're going to one place for those job opportunities. So I'll take a moment and talk about some key features of the Career Center that you should focus on as a job seeker. So firstly, if you haven't already, you should log into the platform using your CFA Institute credentials and create your profile and upload your CV. If you already have a profile, it's also good to remember to keep that up to date and that you can always go back and update your resume as well. You should choose a visibility setting for your profile, and you should consider whether you want employers to be able to find you proactively. So that means, and we'll talk about this a little more later, that when an employer has a job posting on the site, they're also able to search and find you, or you can keep your profile hidden, and it's only exposed when you apply for jobs. As a job seeker, you're also able to search for those local jobs or broaden your search across the globe if you're looking to move to a new location. And one of my favorite features of the platform is the ability to create and personalize your job alerts to help you keep up to date on the latest postings on the site. So if you're not able to log in every day, you're able to save that search as a job alert and get those emails updated once a day if there's a new listing, and we'll talk more about that. Job postings on the Career Center are visible to the general public. However, you must be signed in with your CFA Institute credentials to save or apply for a job, to create or update your profile, and to create or edit job alerts. I recommend that you sign in as your first action when you come to visit the platform. So you can see that I'm logged in this screen capture. And you can see where you can navigate to your profile. And this is where you can either get started creating your profile if you haven't logged in before, or you can review your existing profile and make sure that it's up to date. You get started by clicking the drop-down arrow to the right of your name and selecting the Your Profile option. And I'd like to take a moment just to mention that any of your data with CFA Institute does not automatically transfer over to the Career Center. So you do need to actually take an action to log into the Career Center to create your profile. And at any time, you can come back and remove that information. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. So you can see here that we've moved on from the profile area, moved actually directly into the profile area so that we can look about updating our information because I have an existing account. And that's where we can upload the CV or update it. And this is where you would come back at any time and change your resume with the appropriate button. Those details that you enter here will be seen by employers if you choose to have your profile searchable. So, as I mentioned a moment ago, this means an employer with a live job posting on our site can search the CV database and potentially find you before you apply for their job. And we'll talk a little bit more about this privacy setting in a moment. Your career summary is your opportunity to sell yourself to an employer. Your current CV covers where you're based, your current job title and job type, where you live, and also your educational details. The Your New Role area highlights where you're willing to relocate, if you're willing to relocate, your preferred job type, how quickly you could possibly relocate, your desired salary, and the type of work you're seeking, such as full, part-time, or consulting work. So who can view your profile? We talked about the fact that employers can access your profile. If you select yes for employers to be able to see your profile, only those employers with a live job posting can proactively access it when searching the database. Selecting no means an employer will only see your CV when you apply for a job. If you choose yes, then you can type an employer name to block them. And you can see on the screen where I've previously chosen some employers who've posted on the Career Center to block them from seeing my profile, as an example. So once you've decided on your privacy setting, you'll need to agree to the terms and conditions and then save. You can always come back to this profile area to delete your profile or to change your privacy settings. Once your profile is complete, you'll want to browse job opportunities or get started with a detailed search under the Find a Job section. When you've found a job that interests you, then you'll simply click the link to learn more. If you'd like to revisit the job later, then select the Save option at the top of the screen. Or you can go ahead and apply for the job right away using the Apply button. If you choose to save the job, then you can always find it again later under the Your Jobs area. And you can see we've navigated to the Your Jobs section. From here, you can apply to those jobs that you saved to your shortlist, or you can choose to delete them. So you can see that I have some that I've saved from quite some time ago, and I can select that delete button and they'll be deleted. Of course, I wouldn't be able to apply for those jobs because they have expired at this point. I'd also like to point out that in this area is also where you can create, preview, or edit your alerts for new job posts. So when you create a job alert, those notifications are sent out once per day by email when a new job is posted that meets your selected criteria. So if there aren't any new job postings meeting the criteria, you won't receive an email that day. And you may wonder, why is there a preview option? Well, that's in case you're logged into the platform and you want to come visit and see before that email notification comes along to see if there are any new job opportunities for you. And then of course you can delete that alert or edit it if it no longer meets your needs. So here's a detailed shot of setting up a job alert. And so this process is based on the same criteria that you would use when you're searching for job opportunities. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a great way to stay up to date on your searches without having to access the platform, because we're all busy and on the go, and it's nice to have somebody doing the work for you. And as I mentioned a moment ago, you can also preview those job alerts periodically through the day if you're really actively searching for jobs to see if anything new displays. So you can be as detailed as you want in these job alerts, or you can leave it very broad. So for example, if you're open to multiple types of opportunities and you're really just looking in a specific location for available jobs, you can start your search that way. Or if you're laser focused on a particular job function, you can also create alerts specific for that opportunity. So now that we've talked about the Career Center and how you go about the job application process, I'd like to shift our focus. So now we'll move over to talk about our new Career Tools platform and how that complements the Career Center with your job search opportunities. So this other platform, known as Career Tools, offers a robust CV builder and a feedback tool. So you can see here, that's a great connection point with the Career Center, because this platform will also help you create your CV. You can also access an interview simulator with a pitch builder, a broad range of career assessments, and last but not least, a deep library of learning assets that will support your career mobility, management, and soft skills development. And with this platform, you'll also log in with your CFA Institute credentials. So you can see that we're in the CV builder area of this platform. And if you don't yet have your current CV saved with the Career Center, or you've decided it's time to update it, this is a great area of the Career Tools platform to get started. The CV Resume Builder, which is available from the My Tools navigation, is a great resource for this, because it's going to take you through that step-by-step process to craft your CV. And it also includes video and article tips relevant to each section for you. Another great resource that I recommend taking advantage of is the CV 360 tool, which can also be found under the My Tools section. Here, you can upload your CV and receive feedback on how you can improve it for applicant tracking systems. As you're likely aware, applicant tracking systems are used by most employers in the industry today. And it often works to screen out based upon keywords. So this tool can assist you for looking at keywords and how your overall presentation is before it makes it to the employer. What's also important is you can use this feature as many times as you like, and you'll see your score adjust based on improvements that you make. Another feature available under the My Tools section is the cover letter builder. Cover letters are your first chance to positively influence an employer or hiring manager, and they also help improve your chances of getting an interview. I get this question a lot, whether they're important, and I absolutely think that they are. Whether they're sent as the text in an email that accompanies your CV, or if it's uploaded as part of an application process, this tool will help you through a step-by-step process to craft a great cover letter to present how you are capable and ready for this position, as well as highlighting those skills that are relevant to the job opening. Another great feature under the My Tools section is the interview simulator. Interviews are hard. We all know that. And especially if you haven't interviewed in quite a while, it can make you nervous. Being prepared and practicing prior to the interview is important for success. We all know that, but how do you get comfortable? That's where this tool can help. Whether your current level of comfort isn't high, or if you just need a quick brush up, this simulator is a great way to practice and improve your skills, and it's in a low stress environment. You're able to browse commonly used interview questions to help you prepare, do a mock interview, and also view helpful related resources such as videos. You'll note that the mock interview enables you to go directly into a pre-built list of interview questions, or you have the option to select the types of questions that you'd like to practice. The watch option allows you to skip straight to employer advice and offers helpful do and don't tips for common interview questions. During the mock interview process, you'll have the option of completing the interview against the clock as a written response. Alternatively, you can complete it via video or via audio. Once complete, you'll be able to play back the audio-video recordings to get a better sense of how you performed. I'd like to recommend trying all three options, as they can help you in different ways. If you're new to interviewing or haven't practiced in a while, it would benefit you to try them so that you can look and analyze ways for improvement, or to see how great you're already doing. A lot of us think about how we present ourselves in an interview. And that's important. But it's also important to think about those times when you're not in an interview and you need to present yourself and you need to make a good impression. When you meet someone at a networking event, that's when we often think about what's that quick summary of who I am, what I enjoy. And that's where we talk about your elevator or personal pitch. So when you're in those networking, relationship building, and opening of your interview sessions, that's where you're going to want to have this rehearsed summary. And I can't stress enough how important it is to be able to create and communicate it in a succinct summary where you're capturing all about you, making it exciting and keeping your listener engaged. You want them to want to know more, to ask questions. So those are things to keep in mind. This feature is also available under the My Tools section, and it's going to take you through a step-by-step process that will help you to create that pitch for any occasion. And as I've talked to many career coaches, they've always stressed, rehearse your pitch, have it memorized, because you could truly be in that elevator, or it could be over cocktails where you're more relaxed at a networking session. But when you can recall your pitch from memory, it's going to serve you well because you won't feel flustered when someone starts asking questions or when you go up to introduce yourself to someone. It's all about how we can help ourselves to relax and be comfortable with new people. So now that we've had time to talk about creating your CV and cover letter, where is this information and how can you access it? And that's where you can use the personal document manager, which is also available under the My Tools area. And that's your central place to come to store multiple versions of your documents. Because it's important to remember, especially if you're looking at different types of job opportunities in your job search, you're going to want to make sure that you tailor your CV and your cover letter to those specific positions. Just sending off a generalized CV when you're applying for a job doesn't sit well with a hiring manager. They want to know that you've taken into consideration this specific job opportunity and how you're uniquely qualified. So think about selling yourself for all of these opportunities separately. And while your CV may be generalized, if the roles are similar, that CV letter is where you truly tell them what they're looking for in the position and how you match that. So I'd like to point out, because we have talked about the Career Center, which is our job board platform, and the Career Tools platform, and how they're connected to each other. As you can see on the screen, this is a direct link for you to navigate to the CFA Institute Career Center so that you can quickly transition to your job search. So after you've either created or refined your CV and you've received feedback through the CV 360, you can easily navigate over just clicking on the My Jobs tab in the menu navigation in the Career Center and get that new CV uploaded. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier is the availability of personal assessments on this platform. And these are important as they can help you to develop more self-awareness of your motivations, your preferences, and your values. We talked a lot about this at the beginning of the presentation. This is a critical part of the self-awareness process. And I encourage you to try as many assessments as you find helpful. And as you go through that process, you'll see the progress bar fill as you work through them. Each assessment will provide you with individual feedback, and you can access those details at any time in the My Reports area. And you can also come back and download or export those details and save them anywhere that you like. As I mentioned earlier, sharpening your soft skills can help to set you apart from others, and it's critical to develop no matter the role or path that you have in mind. The Career Pulse assessment is a quick and easy way to assess your level of comfort across personal and business competencies. It's a quick 8-question survey, and you should see it pop up the first few times you log into the platform. And you can also access it at any time from the My Career area. Here's an example of a completed Career Pulse report. You'll typically have a few suggested areas to focus on based on how you assessed your comfort level with each of the 8 competencies. And you'll be able to explore learning resources or go directly to a particular learning path to focus on that competency area. You'll be prompted to retake the Career Pulse again in approximately 6 months. And it'll give you an opportunity to see if your level of comfort has improved due to the work that you've completed on the learning paths that you prioritized. As I just briefly touched on, We've assembled learning paths for personal and business competencies, as well as career mobility and management. You can access the competency-based learning paths via the tiles on the homepage, which you can see on this slide, via the navigation menu under CFA Institute Competencies, and also through the Career Pulse report. Here's an example of a competency-based learning path. You can work your way through from top to bottom, or you can pick the categories that are of the most interest to you. Each path will feature a variety of assets such as videos, articles, and online courses. And you'll also be able to easily access CFA Institute developed content that is available and applicable to the specific competency path. Lastly, you can also browse a broad variety of resources by category, topic, or keyword. You can also do this from the homepage or selecting Career e-learning under the My Learning section in the navigation menu. Before we move to Q&A, I'd like to take a few minutes to highlight some additional career resources that are available to help you navigate on your career journey. Future of Finance provides resources that are designed to help you stay informed about important trends and industry developments. One report that I'd like to point out is the Investment Professional of the Future, which is an interactive report that explores the changing roles, skills, and organizational cultures that are affecting the career path for investment professionals. Our professional learning area provides a tracker to help you record your professional learning credits, track your learning through conferences, webcasts, and more. The program that's been designed has great content to add to your career development plan to enhance both your technical and your soft skills, helping you to be a well-rounded applicant for new job opportunities. The Career Success ebook that I mentioned earlier includes interviews with leading investment professionals talking about their career journey, and outlines guided examples and case studies that will enable you to put a model of intentional career management to work for you. So there's homework from this webinar as well. And you may not be aware that your current or past participation in CFA Institute educational programs could enable you to waive certain requirements for other financial credentialing products, services, or organizations. You can explore these exemptions and waivers, which are offered by regulators and certification programs in 40 countries and regions, and available to our members and candidates. And I'd also like to mention volunteering. Quite often, we don't think about how volunteering connects with our career journey. When you volunteer with CFA Institute and or your local society, it's a great way to demonstrate your professional and personal strengths outside of your daily work. Sometimes you might be in a job role that doesn't allow you to use all of your strengths. So how do you improve upon them? And quite often that's when volunteering can help you. It's also a great way to gain new skills and, importantly, growing your network of peers. And I want to remind you that you should not forget to add your relevant experience to your CV, because a lot of employers look to see how you're a well-rounded person and what you're doing to benefit the community outside of your job. And finally, don't forget to share your CFA Institute status on social media. Be sure to check out how best to display your status on various platforms using the links provided. And I've also noted here, which will be shared with you by the Society, direct links to the Career Center to get started with your job search, the Career Tools platform, and various other career resources. And I've also included our email address for the career management email, so that if you do have some specific questions or recommendations, that you can share those with us so that we can take those into consideration. And now I will turn it back to Nasha so that we can cover any questions.
Fantastic. That was really, really, really amazing. Thank you so much. And I think, excuse me, I think we can clearly see that regardless of the career stage you're at, starting all the way from someone who's in the process of completing the charter to people that have worked a few years to people that are, say, mid-career, I think there's a lot of value to be had here, or even someone, say, late career, who maybe has been with one employer for 10 or 15 or 20 years and just wants a refresher with some useful tools. So Dana, thank you very much. I'd like to open the floor for some questions. What I will do now, and obviously this is on the basis of Dana's generosity with her time and everyone else's enthusiasm for Q&A, but the format will be that I'll read a question. Dana will provide her response. I'll give my feedback based on my experience, because I'm pretty passionate about this section, and I'll explain why, but we'll start that later. So I'll get started with some of the questions, and in the interim, please write your questions in the chat and we will do our best to cover them all. So the first question I have is from a gentleman named Ruben. His question is the following: CFA charter holders are behind the marathon when it comes to networking, which is in stark contrast with graduates from top-tier universities who are often provided internship opportunities to break into the industry. Dana, I'll just give my response first on this one, if you don't mind, actually.
Yeah.
So, when I was 27, I'm now 36. When I was 27, I networked myself, and I actually went through a program in Australia where I was assigned a mentor, which was the managing director and head of Credit Suisse Private Bank. He told me, when talking about how to get into the bank and how to work in private banking, that there was two criteria that is what he respected to get into the bank. He said one was a Harvard MBA or one was a CFA charter. And he described them in the following way. He said one of them is really easy, but very expensive. You can obviously guess which one that is. He said the other one is extremely difficult and most people fail. And as we know, the pass rates for completing the course is 10% from inception to finishing all three levels. But he said it has much more respect in the industry, and he obviously held it in higher esteem. And he described it, which I think is a common term, which it's a foot wide and a mile deep, whereas an MBA is a mile wide and a foot deep in terms of what we're doing, excuse me. So I think, look, I'm not going to exaggerate. If you have the financial resources to go and do a Harvard MBA, Oxford MBA, some of these top, 10 to 20 global MBAs, yes, it can provide you with an advantageous network, but I think the charter adds more value if you want to learn more about this specific niche, and it's much more cost effective, I would say, as well. And in terms of the network that you get from both, I think it really comes down to your ability to have that entrepreneurialism and to generate those soft skills, which Dana touched upon, you can learn within the CFA charter resources. So I think at the end of the day, both of them are in your control. One of them is much better from a cost perspective, significantly. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. Now, what do you think, Dana?
That was absolutely wonderful. Thank you for covering that and actually taking the work on that question. But I want to also mention where your society plays an important role too. So that, that's part of your CFA Institute journey and a great way to connect locally with individuals who are in the profession to help to grow your network. And with the global CFA Institute events as well, having traveled across the world, and I've met a lot of people at our different conferences, which I know looks a lot different now with COVID, but hopefully we're going to be back to more normal events in the future. And that's really a great way to meet people. And, it's through those people that you help to grow your network even more. So think about that. You do the program a bit in isolation, but you have that opportunity. It just takes work, to grow your network. It's absolutely not impossible.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's about finding those people through the CFA Society when you attend the events, and you don't know, you may be sitting across from an equities portfolio manager, you may be sitting across from someone who works in debt capital markets in an investment bank, whether they're a local or an international. So it's about meeting those people and then maybe asking them, can we catch up for a coffee sometime, and trying to understand what they know, how they got their job, and all those other usual steps is what I would say. And I'll just go to the next question. Just give me one moment. Okay, so the next question we have is someone who said they're interested in the following: resources CFA Institute provides to members, advice on career development in the region, specificities of the regional job market for CFA members, trends in the labor market and emerging skills, regional, Europe, UK. So what I'll do is I'll copy paste this question. I'm not sure who it's from, but I'll put it into the all chat, and I'll pass it to Dana first to try to answer it as best as possible on the it's kind of a 4-part question, and then I'll give my 2 cents on that as well.
Okay, so resources CFA Institute provides to members, we've covered in this presentation, and the Society will share a PDF of this presentation so that you can access those links. The Career Center job board platform is very important, as well as the Career Tools platform. And then those other, career support services that I indicated. Specific for your region, I can't point to something that we have, but that's really where your society can come into play and support there. So I'll leave that.
I'll expand on that one, don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. And I can say that regarding trends in the labor market, I don't have something that I can point you to right now. I am working with our vendor for the Career Center platform to help pull together some information that we would be able to share. That's not something that we have right now. Things have been so rapidly changing that we don't have that available. But I'll kick back over to you, Nasha, to talk about how you can support regionally.
Yeah, sure. So I think you addressed the first point fantastically, so I can't add much value there. In terms of advice on career development in the region, I can give you the aggregated answer based on myself and others that have been in the region for some time. And obviously, please note the underlying advice has variability based on the sector. So, for example, I think the most prevalent sectors within Dubai and Abu Dhabi is that in Dubai, it's more sell side. You have a lot of wealth management, private banks, and external asset management firms. Whereas in Abu Dhabi, you have more buy side. You have some sovereign wealth funds, you have underlying entities, government investment linked entities as well. So that's more for people that are, it's a different style of role. So in terms of your career development in the region, I would say it really, that's a very broad question. I would say it depends on what you're trying to achieve, but it never hurts to either do 2 things. One is be linked to revenue, because it's a very easy discussion if you're linked to revenue. You can then state your KPIs, because if it can't be measured, it's hard to state the value always, I think personally. That's why I think roles that aren't measurable are sometimes challenging to convey your value for the underlying role. The other side of it is if you don't want to be connected to revenue, become extremely good and very proficient at what you're doing on a technical basis, whether that's someone who has the skills to do DCF modeling, leverage buyout modeling, all of that type of stuff, evaluation skills, that has a lot of value to firms as well, whether it's in private equity, investment banking, things like that. It's not my specialty by any means, but that's the other thing I would tell you as well, is be very good and have examples of your work. So for example, one question I got asked a lot when people have shown interest in equity analysis is, how do I get a job as an equity research analyst? So I asked the person, do you have any of your own reports? They say no. So if you want a job in that field, you should show your employer that you've already shown your ability to be enthusiastic and you produce the report. Because if you show up to with 10 pages on 10 stocks done in the format that an investment bank would, you'll get the interest of someone who just tells you that they're interested, right? You need to show tangible evidence of your interest. That's another thing I would say. In terms of specificities of the regional job market, I totally agree with Dana. The CFA Society provides you with a very unique portal or platform to meet people that otherwise you wouldn't meet. Because frankly speaking, people that get approached on LinkedIn, some of them will be very nice, some of them will be nice, but too busy to respond. But if you meet someone in person and you exchange business cards, you can respectfully then send a very nice email with some research about their company or when they were mentioned in the paper, like the National, the Inquirer, etc. And therefore you've shown your enthusiasm, and you can always ask someone for a 5 or 10 minute coffee, and many people will be happy to comply or jump on a Zoom call to give you career advice. Again, I think the overarching theme is you need to show the effort you've made before asking for something from somebody else. That's what I would say. And one thing I would really advocate against, but maybe Dana, I mean, it's a different market, she's in the US, but over here, is people who cold message and just say, I'm looking for a job, can you help me? I mean, it's not that people don't want to help you, but you need to give them a reason to help you. Like, for example, I'm looking for a job in XYZ. These are the ABC skills I have. These are the DEF firms I'm interested in. I notice you have connections at these firms. Would you be open to making a warm introduction? Once I have a call with you for 5 minutes, that shows you've made effort before somebody's opened up their personal network to you. That's a broader answer, but that's kind of hopefully giving you some information. Because for me personally, and many friends of mine, as you get past the first 5-6 years in your career, most of the jobs you get are through people you meet. They're not even listed on eFinancial, LinkedIn, CFA portal as well. And even if they are listed, some of these jobs are listed for HR purposes, process and procedure, but they've already got people allocated in the queue. And sometimes these people are sitting waiting for this job for 6-12 months and they're already ready. They're just waiting for headcount approval. So this is some of the more internal things that if you're at the start of your career, you might not be aware of. And I hope that adds value to you. I'll go and I'll answer I'll ask the next question. Just give me one moment. Okay. Sebastian Proust asked, where is the best place for networking in Dubai? I'm going to be very generic, and I'm just going to say the CFA Society Emirates, not because I'm being have a conflict of interest. It's the most formal place where you're meeting people pretty close to the industry. Anything outside of that, I think you have to be part of alumni, like London Business School and other such places, which I can't comment. I'm not a part of any of those things. So unfortunately, Sebastian, I can only give you one answer there, to be honest. And Dana's not from the region, so I don't think she can provide anything there. But happy to try to add more value if you want to send us an email, and maybe we can try to expand on that answer for you if you'd like. Okay, just one moment. Okay, I think that's all the questions we've been asked. Does anyone, please don't be shy. You can use the Zoom chat and you can send me a direct message, or you can write it in the all chat. If anyone has any questions, please ask. In the interim, I'll just state that, look, I would advise, you're all very busy and at different career stages, but go through the PDF presentation when you can. I'm sure you'll find a lot of value in different points of it, depending on what you're trying to achieve. And I would personally encourage you to come to the events. I know everybody's busy, especially with work, but if you can, I'll encourage you to come to the events. Feel free to reach out to myself or any of the board members, any of the people attending, and just ask a question. Everyone's happy to help everyone and pay it forward. And I think that's what's important. In terms of our plans going forward from a careers perspective, we are looking to put together a roundtable event for late January, which will have 2 HR professionals from the financial services sector. It will have 2 recruiters from very reputable firms. One of them is actually a CFA charter holder, so we're very lucky to have this person attend. The idea is to give you a practical response from people that hire and people that market or product human capital, which is candidates. So then you can ask all these specific questions about what people are looking for, what do they like, what do they not like in the region. Because I'm not a recruitment professional, nor am I a HR professional. And Dana, works for the Institute, but she's not actively hiring equity analysts, fixed income analysts, wealth management people, et cetera, for the various roles. So that's the first event. Later in February, we're going to be organizing a careers event. We're going to have a gentleman who's authored a book, hopefully come and speak, in addition to a number of other things. And that'll be quite a lengthy event, which we're looking to put together. If you have any ideas or things that you think would be valuable that you'd like the careers board or the careers chair myself to put together, I'm happy to take any suggestions and then review them with the board and look to do those events accordingly. Does anyone have any other questions? Don't be shy. Feel free to ask no matter what the question is. And if you don't want me to say your name, if you're shy, I won't say your name. It's fine.
I'd just like to point out, Nasha, that those sound like great things that you're planning for the society. I think that that's great. The things that you're looking at, how it benefits candidates and members is crucial, and your society puts out a lot of good things. So,
thank you very much.
In case attendees on the call aren't aware, in comparison to some of the other societies, I have to say this is a really focused society on career.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. I would mention, I just want to say something. Look, hopefully it's valued to all of you. I've worked in 2 regions, which is I've had the pleasure of working and currently working in the UAE and also Sydney, Australia. Now, I would say Sydney, Australia is more in common with like a traditional financial services market, like a London or some centers in America. What I mean by that is that you can get jobs in a more structured, less entrepreneurial way. You can use eFinancial Careers, CFA board, you can use LinkedIn. You'll see the jobs a lot of the time. Over here, it's very different. And again, I'm not trying to, go on about it too much, but I think the CFA Society Emirates will help you because you have to be entrepreneurial to get good jobs here because there's a lot of hungry people here, and they're very open to doing all of those things like cold approaching people, which is cold approaching means just sending a message to someone you don't know, whether through LinkedIn, email. Sometimes some people even pick up a phone and call the company's like a general number, which I've heard of people doing that, which is quite brave. So even if you're the better potential employee for a company, you won't get in front of people if you don't do these kind of extra things. So I think that's something Dana mentioned as well, that the CFA resources can put you in your best foot forward, but you need to take that first step so that when you get in front of the right person, you've practiced your interview questions, you've got your elevator pitch ready, which you should always have ready, and you can have that confidence using the resources available. We have a question which is fantastic from Mohammed Al-Saleh. Is it usual to have career opportunities while still a candidate? And will it be different when fully chartered? That's a fantastic question. Dana, would you like to answer first? Then I'll add my feedback.
Sure. And what I'll point to specifically is the platform. So that is something within the Career Center platform that when an employer is posting their job, and also when you as a job seeker can indicate the level of your candidacy, or that employer can indicate if they're looking for someone who is, maybe only in level 1, for this particular role because it's more junior. Or if they're looking for someone who is, completed the full program, has earned the charter. And I can say that there are definitely positions across the spectrum on the Career Center, and that it does help to enhance your portfolio of jobs that you can apply to once you have earned the charter. But Nasha, I'll let you speak to that a little more too.
Yeah, sure. So I think, let's say you're a candidate. I'll just give two scenarios. One is you finished your degree and you started, I think in the last level of your degree, you can begin level 1. So the only opportunity you could probably position yourself for would probably be like an analyst level role, I would say. Or if you're doing something at the same time, like let's say if you're doing university, CFA level 1, you probably don't have time for a full-time job. So you'd look to be an intern, basically, and get that experience with a company. In terms of how it will be different when you're fully chartered, that's a question that doesn't have a singular answer. It will always depend upon what the role requirements are. So for example, for many equity analyst roles, they are very happy if you've cleared level 1, because you've shown them your desire and commitment to the industry. You should have basic knowledge of, say, accounting. You can understand financial statements, which is a key component of equity analysis. And then you can learn some things on the job. Let's say your charter is finished. It doesn't mean you're necessarily more valuable, because it comes down to your practical experience then for the role. So if I've got my level 1, but I've been doing equity analysis for a couple of years, I'm a more valuable person than someone who's got the charter, who's never done equity analysis, if that's the role. But if you're going into, say, a junior business development manager role for an asset manager, they will of course prefer you to have your charter fully cleared, couple years experience, and then you'll be more valuable than a level 1 candidate. But there's not a one direct answer. It basically comes down to the role always. It's always better if you finish the charter, because anyone can pass level 1, or a lot of people can, but finishing level 2 and 3 takes kind of a little bit more of a discipline and perhaps luck, and a lot of things have to come together for you to complete it, which I'm sure all of you can, definitely. Oh, Mohammed clarified that he's a level 3 candidate. So I think you finishing is a great thing. It's only a benefit, but it's not going to stop you getting a role. The fact that you're at level 3 already tells an employer you're very dedicated and you're almost at the finish line. So that's fantastic. I had another question. Okay. Hello, Nasha. How have job opportunities in the fintech industry are progressing in the region? Okay. So to answer that question, I would say, look, I don't work in fintech over here, so I'm definitely it's not my area of expertise, so please forgive me if it's not the optimal answer. But I would say it's a fantastic time, because you have a lot of what they call dry powder, which is an industry expression for there's a lot of cash sitting on the sidelines looking to be allocated to alternative investments. Underlying is private equity and venture capital. Under venture capital, you then have fintech, usually. You have a lot of these neo banks and a lot of other things which are trying to disrupt the industry. I think you even had Mohammed Alibi is launching his own bank, which is fantastic, a digital bank. So I think it's a very good time to look for roles in fintech. I don't know what you're looking for. If you're probably like most people, you're looking for an analyst type role, then it's a really good time. You need to look for venture capital firms. There's one called Bico Capital. There's Shuruk Partners. Anything outside of that, you'd have to do more research. It's not my area of expertise, so please forgive me. But you can always try to connect with some people that are in the industry, and I'm sure you can do that through research, basically. I hope that helps answer the question. Okay. Just one moment, sorry. I have another question. Hi, Nasha. Thank you for a very helpful session. Actually, I posted the query specific to him that we'd like me to explain generally. He's an investment banker with 12 years of corporate and investment banking experience in Pakistan. After doing 30 deals, he's learned a lot of things, which is fantastic, and wants to learn more. He's done a lot of financial modeling and debt structuring. What would I suggest to be looking for a similar career in investment management in the UAE? Okay. So again, I don't work in corporate or investment banking. My whole experience in Dubai has been wealth management, private banking, external asset management. It's all very similar with some differences, but not relevant to today's discussion. My comment to you would be, your biggest challenge will be convincing the employer that you'll be happy taking a lesser role, even though you have a lot of experience, because once you cross a certain amount of years, you're expected to bring in revenue, usually, if you work in investment banking. Again, I'm not the expert, so what I would say is probably best to connect to people that work in investment banking departments of local banks, see if they have roles, what they're looking for. They can give you a better answer. But I would say, I don't think you'd have a problem getting in as an AVP or VP if they're looking for someone with the technical skill set. But again, my answer could be wrong. Forgive me if it's not entirely correct. Okay. Harsh Chawani asked a very good question. Tips on how to successfully get an internship or analyst level position when you have little or no experience to show for in the field. I'll ask Dana to respond, and then I'll give my response after Dana. Thanks, Dana.
You've been actually doing this a lot better than I can, because my background is truly, what are the resources that we can provide. But I'm going to start with networking, and as you were calling it, the warm calls, the outreach. You've got to start somewhere. The Career Center platform offers internship opportunities. So there are postings on there that are specifically looking for interns. And I think just having yourself known helps you to get a foot in the door while you prove yourself in that role. It's challenging, but I think, looking for those opportunities, having those engagements with employers, letting them know what you know about the organization, that you're interested, what you're looking for in a career, really positioning yourself and how you want to benefit that company is the best way to start breaking in. And I'll kick over to you, Nasha.
No, that was fantastic. So I would say everything Dana said is 110% correct. One thing I also want to add, and it's a thing you need to think about from any of the questions. What is the other person looking for, and is that me, or how can that be me, basically? So for example, like I said before, if you're looking for an internship level, no one expects you to have any experience, right? So what are they looking for? They're looking for you to look the part. So that means dress for the role you want, not the role you have. So don't show up in anything scrappy, have a nice suit or the equivalent in female attire. Doesn't need to mean expensive, it just needs to be sharp. And just look at the way the people that you want to aspire to be, how they dress. Again, it doesn't mean you need to have brands or spend a lot of money, just a nice dark blue suit, clean white shirt and a tie, and polished shoes. That's it, with a belt. In terms of your knowledge, if you want to be in equities, you should know about what's happening in the stock market, maybe regionally. If it's fixed income, you should know about what's happening with interest rate curve and what's happening with the Fed. If you want to be in venture capital, you should know about some unicorns in the region, right? Unicorn being a company worth more than $1 billion valuation. You just want to show people, I'm passionate about the industry. Doesn't mean you need to be binary. You don't need to live, breathe, and eat finance, because we're all balanced, well-rounded people, I hope. Unless you do investment banking, then you need to be pretty unbalanced, I would say, and very focused. But that's what you need to do. And once you're an intern, if they like you, that even if there's no role for you, which is called headcount, they then would be happy to introduce their network to you. And that's what Dana's getting at. I would say it's equivalent to a tree, right? You meet one person for a coffee or a Zoom, and you say at the end, for example, if you thought there was some value in the conversation and what I discussed today, I'd really appreciate if I could have 3 references from you. Then you meet those 3 references. Then you ask for 3 from each of them. Now you've turned one person into 9 leads. Doesn't mean all 9 of them will meet you, right? People are different and busy and have their own personal workloads personal loads on top of workloads. But it doesn't hurt you to try, basically. That's what I'm trying to get at. In terms of no experience, just pretend you're doing the job when you're not doing the job. I'll give you an example. Someone I know who wanted to break into asset management with institutional clients, put together a business plan when they had never worked in the industry, mapping out all of the institutional clients in that region as best as they could using Google. Now, they could have just showed up to the meeting and they could have said some names, or they could have been vague, but they put together a PowerPoint presentation and then they showed it to the employer, and the employer was surprised at the person doing all of that work for nothing. Because quite often I think people show up to an interview and they think that that's the work. I've shown up to the interview, that I've got a degree, you should hire me. It doesn't work like that. You know, if you want a role that a lot of people want, you need to be, and I'll use a CFA reference from quant finance, you need to be an outlier. Because if there's only one job and 40 applicants and then 20 interviews, how do you convince the person that you're the right person? You need to stand out. So that's, you know, that's what I would say. That's why going to Harvard or Yale, that's a very easy way to stand out. But a more unique way is to actually do all this other stuff, which doesn't cost you any money, just costs you your time and enthusiasm and effort. But thankfully, none of that comes out of the wallet, right? Even though time is money, I know, but you know, it doesn't come out. Okay, I had a question I missed before, so please, my apologies. Just one moment. Okay. The jobs posted on the CFA Institute, are they exclusively posted on the CFA site, or the jobs are sourced from other job portals like eFinancial Careers or LinkedIn? I think Dana's best to answer that. You know, as she would know.
Yes. So the answer is both. There are employers who come directly to the site and post their job opportunities. Now, this doesn't mean that they're not posting anywhere else, you know, so you might see those jobs on other platforms as well. But that is where our societies do work really hard to connect with local employers, you know, to let them know about the platform. And that it's a great place, you know, to come and look for our individuals who are working towards the charter or already have it. And we do currently, I can't say that this will extend for very long, but at this time, we are also supplemented from a feed of jobs from eFinancial Careers. So you will see some duplication of those job opportunities simply because we're still building out our network with societies. And, you know, and that takes time. And so as societies are working, you know, to really connect locally with employers, we wanted to make sure that we did have, you know, other opportunities for you on the site. So you will see some of those specifically from eFinancial Careers. But know that your society and CFA Institute at the global level too is building relationships, you know, with employers to curate more direct job opportunities there. But I'd like to, you know, I say the most of the credit goes to the local societies because, you know, they're the ones who are hosting events and connecting with employers and really creating those opportunities and raising awareness of the platform.
Yep, I think that summarizes everything. I can't add anything to that. Okay, next question. Any advice for interns who are trying to get experience at startups and whether it is worth working in a toxic environment? Okay. The honest answer is that financial services is a challenging industry. It's tough. That's why it pays better than other industries, can pay better. And it's it attracts a lot of driven and intelligent people, right? So sometimes you will have to work with many personalities and sometimes you may feel that it's toxic. I would say try to spin it the other way and say, how can I learn from this environment? How can I gain some experience working with challenging people? And how can I perhaps try to, you know, use this in maybe a future role at a future company if you decide that company's not where you want to spend 5, 10, 15 years. Because there's nothing wrong with that. You know, working for an employer is not a marriage. It's a relationship, which you can decide to do for 35 years or you can do for 1 or 2 years. So that's my advice. Also, Dana, I know we've gone over by 14 minutes, so maybe we should have this as our last question. Sorry. Okay. So, you know, but that's what I would say. And, you know, you just need to look for, potentially see if it's another place is the right role, but not every job's going to be perfect. I have someone who's very successful in my network who set up his own investment house. And he said, if the job meets 50% of what you're looking for, it's a perfect job, basically. And he's very experienced and always looking for the positives and how to get the best out of a job. Because you might think Jamie Dimon has the best job in the world, but I'm sure he doesn't even like 50, 60% of his work, right? But he has to do it. So that's my advice. I want to thank everybody for attending. I hope it was of value, and I want to thank Dana most of all for jumping on the call and giving her great advice. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. Someone from the Society Emirates will be sending out this PDF, which is great. And I want to thank you very much and looking forward to the next careers event. Thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Take care, everybody. Thank you.